All right, everybody, welcome back to T&K Sports Talk. My name is Kevin.
My name is Thomas, and today we're going to be giving our grades on the Eagles draft class. We're also going to be looking at a couple other teams around the league and giving our opinion on how we think they did.
Yeah, dude, it was an absolutely crazy draft. I mean, like, we only got, 3 of the 4 picks right, and the draft just went off the rails.
Yeah.
The 49ers screwed us taking Trey Lance. I get it, but, like, damn, like, is screwed up our
some snaps, not enough.
Yeah. But let's dive into our birds, dude. How do you think we did?
Overall, I'm not a huge fan of what they did on day 2 and day 3, but what they did in day 1 is it's making my grade overall go from probably what would have been a probably C plus. What they did on day 1 made it an A minus for me, because the fact that I think if they would have stayed at 6 and got Devontae Smith, I would have been happy with it. Instead, they still get their Devontae Smith. They let the Giants think that they're going to let them have him, and then swoop up and take him and get an extra first-round pick out of it.
Yeah, Giants made out well getting that extra first from Chicago in the end, but overall, the Eagles completely swiped Devontae Smith from New York because, I mean, they did trade back and immediately took a wide receiver in its place. So, I mean, worked out for everybody, worked out for Dallas because they ended up getting Micah Parsons, and that linebacker core is just scary. Dallas looks like I hate to say it, but Dallas looks like they're the favorites right now with an improved defense after draft night. We'll see with this Nick Sirianni offense what Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts have for us. But overall, right now, I like Dallas's chances for the NFC East. God, that kills me to say it, but I think they're the Vegas bet.
Only if Dak stays healthy, though, because that knee doesn't hold up. It's going to be another bad season for them, I think.
Yeah,
well, and now they don't have Andy Dalton.
Yeah, we'll see how the ankle holds up. That's what it was. It was a bad ankle break. It was a dislocation and a break. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with that because, I mean, it was his plant foot. So, I mean, if he gets hit the wrong way, hopefully, I mean, I don't wish injury on anybody, but if he gets hit the wrong way and twisted wrong, we'll see if that holds up because, I mean, like, surgery and medicine are great, but those bones still have to cooperate. So, we'll see. We'll see how he does with that, but I mean, I still like Dallas's chances.
And they didn't draft any offensive linemen in the draft, and that worries me a little bit for Dak's injury too. Is the offensive line wasn't that great last year, and now they're a little bit older, and they didn't
Tyron Smith is still getting hurt on a consistent basis. He's got his problems. What was it, Travis Frederick that retired a year ago?
Yeah, they still
have that hole. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, they still got Ezekiel Elliott to set the pace, and they still got a great wide receiver core. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to be a big problem in year 2. But yeah, I mean, back to the birds here. I think with Devontae Smith, what he brings most of this offense is, I think, his ability to make the others around in the wide receiver core better. I mean, when you draft a Heisman Trophy winner like Devontae Smith, who had 1,800 yards and how many touchdowns last year at Alabama, I think that just opens the field so much more because he's going to get that attention from everyone in the NFC East to everyone around the NFL. Everyone's going to have eyes on number 6. Where's number 6? Is he in the slot? Is he in the outside? Is he in motion? Where is he? So I think in Sirianni's offense, what makes it best run is Jalen Reagor. I can see running a lot of drags. Because what made Jalen Reagor so good at TCU was the ability to run in the open field. Jalen Reagor's biggest problem is his route running. And I think if he can get that down, he'll be a great receiver. But until he does, I think his best availability is being able to take a little 3-yard pass and scamper for 20. And that's where I think Devontae Smith comes into play because he'll be taking up space across the middle. He'll be taking the linebackers and the safeties off the sides and opening up the short end of the field.
Absolutely. I love the Smith pick. just from what he's going to bring to our offense, like what he was able to do at Alabama last year. Like when Smith and Waddle were both on the team and they were playing amazing, and Waddle goes down, there were concerns last year where now the defense is really gonna, pay attention to Smith and double cover, and there was no problem for him. He still went up against the best competition in college football, and
Yeah,
went up against Derek Stingley of LSU, who's going to be a top 10 pick, and
that's who I want next year.
same. We got our wide receiver one and Devontae Smith, our corner number one, and Stingley next year. But hopefully we're not picking high enough for him. But I love the fact that there's obviously no concerns with the amount of talent you have with Smith, but everybody was saying how size was a concern. I love that he knows that people think size is a concern. So I think it's going to put a chip on his shoulder, and I think he's going to want to prove everybody wrong and just come out and ball out for us next year and bring our offense. Give Hurts a weapon that Wentz has never had before.
So yeah, stepping away from Smith for a second, I know you have your opinions on the other picks, but honestly, my favorite pick out of the Eagles draft besides Devontae Smith actually came from the 5th round, and that is Kenny Gainwell, the running back that we picked out of Memphis. No one knows this, but Memphis has been putting out a lot of running back talent into the NFL. There's another scary running back in the NFC East, Antonio Gibson, with Washington. He's a baller, and Kenny Gainwell was right behind him and got drafted a year after. I mean, don't mess with Kenny Gainwell. He's going to take a lot of pressure off of Miles Sanders in terms of receiving the ball. I think with Sirianni's offense, you can send Miles Sanders out on a screen and send Gainwell out on a wheel route. I think that just opens up the field so much more for that of a Devontae Smith and then a Jalen Reagor and even a Travis Fulgham if he ends up picking up where he left off before he was benched for Alshon freaking Jeffrey. Why that was, no clue, but that was just Doug Peterson being Doug Peterson. But I mean, yeah, that was so stupid. But hopefully Travis Fulgham can pick up where he should have never left off. And if that happens, I mean, I think this offense will actually be exceeding expectations a little bit. Not to the extent of what we saw in 2017, obviously, but I feel like before this draft, people were kind of anticipating kind of a bottom 15 type of offense, because inexperienced coaching staff and still an inexperienced quarterback. But I feel like that connection with Hurts and Smith and then Gainwell taking pressure off of the first running back on the board, I think that actually opens up the offense a lot. And when you talk about the depth in the offensive line that we've actually finally developed over the past couple of years, I'm really high on Jack Driscoll. He's another versatile offensive tackle, interior O-line. Keep him off the tackle. That's not his forte. I'm good with him being a Brandon Brooks substitute if, God willing, he stays on the field. But I like where this offense is standing right now. There's still some spots that I would improve, but I feel like this offense could actually exceed expectations a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of potential there because you have Stephen Court, like you said, if Fulgham continues what he left off before he got benched last year, and Smith comes in and does exactly what I think he's going to do, and Reagor just shows glimpses of what we thought we were going to see last year. I think our receiving core is going to be good enough. I think I love Sanders as a running back. I love that Gainwell pick as well. Great dual threat running back, great at running the ball and receiving, and also good at pass blocking as well. I'm sure a lot of people have seen that video.
I was just getting ready to say when he dropped the hometown kid and Micah Parsons.
Yeah, just dropped him to the
Sorry,
ground.
Cowboys fans, if you're watching, but I mean, Micah got dropped by a 5'8" running back in the Cotton Bowl a couple years ago.
Yeah. So with those receivers and Sanders and Gainwell and I think Goddard's going to have a breakout year. I think it's really going to come down to, can Jalen Hurts be our guy? And the amount of work that he's been putting in this offseason, which I know a lot of quarterbacks do, but Hurts has been looking good in his workouts and stuff, and looks like he's starting to build some chemistry with their younger receivers. I think if he can show flashes of something, I think this offense will be looking pretty well next year.
Yeah, just hoping that all these players that are kind of on the 26 and under list, kind of not very specific on their ages, but the fact that they're all young and unproven, hopefully they can band together. I mean, Hurts kind of found an underrated receiver on the depth chart in Quez Watkins a couple of times last year. I feel like that's big if this offense is going to go somewhere. You need to have chemistry with those guys that you don't see on day one on the depth chart. You need to see those guys where, if they're needed, the quarterback knows that they're out there. And I feel like Jalen Hurts is doing all the right things so far, having all the guys together. Looking forward to seeing that first video of when Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith start practicing together again. Looks like their friendship is strong. Looks like they're ready to go. I mean, I know I have my Devontae Smith number 6 jersey on the way. I ordered mine on draft day number 2.
And I get one coming my way here soon too. Yeah.
But yeah, let's go and talk about some other teams here, man. A lot of draft winners, a lot of draft losers. Who do you got?
All right, one team that I think did exceptionally well. I know I have a lot of friends who are fans of the team, and I know a lot of them are not very high on what they did, but I am a fan of what Pittsburgh did in the draft. I know they didn't draft offensive line, and when you talk to anybody really about the Steelers draft, that's the first thing that comes up. But it's just like the Eagles draft, in my opinion, where we need corner extremely bad, and we didn't get one until the 4th round. I think Steelers kind of did the same thing. They needed offensive line. They didn't get one until the 3rd round. But I think they wanted to put some weapons around Big Ben to, try and make sure that he has everything that he needs other than the offensive line for his last season, and getting number 1 running back on the board in my mind, and the number 2 tight end, who I'm a big fan of, Freiermuth. I think he's going to have a really good career in the league.
Yeah, Freiermuth, I think, is kind of the closest. Freiermuth, I feel like, is kind of the closest comparison to a Travis Kelce size as you're going to get in the draft.
Yep, he's pretty good at blocking too. And I know a lot of fans specifically with their draft look at the 1st round and go, and I agree too, running backs are a dime a dozen, but and they go, why would we take a running back? There's a couple offensive linemen there, that you could have taken. They could have taken our boy Landon Dickerson. They could have taken, Tevin Jenkins. Said they go running
Humphrey.
back.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I'm not saying he's going to nearly be to that level, but I think they have the potential to kind of pull off what the Tennessee Titans did when they weren't doing, no disrespect to Tennessee, but they weren't really doing much or anything until they got Derrick Henry in that building, and he started becoming what he became. And then he just put that whole offense and the whole team to a whole another level. I think if Najee Harris has the potential to come in and be your Derrick Henry, not comparing the two, not saying Najee is going to be Derrick Henry, but if he is, then that's just going to completely transform Pittsburgh's offense. And whoever they get, whether it's Dwayne Haskins or they draft somebody next year, whoever they get, who will probably be a young rookie or 2nd-year player at quarterback, it'll make their job a lot easier too, having one of the top running backs in the league to help run the offense.
Yeah, I get it. I still would have liked Pittsburgh to focus on the O-line because, today we found out that Villanueva finally signed with the Ravens. So the Steelers just lost an offensive tackle. Now, whether that was the reason why they didn't go tackle is maybe they were trying to get Villanueva back at that time. No idea. But I mean, I get the Najee Harris pick. It's it's a great comparison that you did with Tennessee. Because I mean, when Derrick Henry became that of a freaking military tank instead of trying to be like the best running back on earth, it took a lot of pressure off of Tennessee having to find that franchise quarterback. Like now they have Ryan Tannehill, who is more than serviceable to get the job done when his biggest weapon is when he doesn't even have to throw the ball. It's just handing it to Derrick Henry. I mean, I get
They
what
stacked the
Pittsburgh's trying
box
to
and
do with
do
Ben.
play action.
Yeah, like they're trying to take the ball out of Ben's hands, maybe a little more. That way Ben can be like a little more efficient. Not a knock on Ben, but when your quarterback starts throwing like 50 passes a game, your quarterback's going to be prone to multiple mistakes, whether it's fumbles or interceptions that get batted at the line. Like it's just bound to happen if your quarterback's throwing the ball that many times. So I mean,
We
if you
saw
have a
that how
running
many
back like
times with
Harris,
Wentz and Peterson.
yeah. So I mean, when you have a running back like Harris, it definitely takes 50 down to maybe 35 passes a game for Ben, which is why he was so good in his early years, is that they weren't asking him to do that much. So I mean, and let's keep in mind the Steelers were 11-0 last year at one point. Like they weren't a slouch team. I mean, like they just had like kind of a weak schedule that was very misleading a little bit. But I feel like now when your schedule's going to be a little tougher because you had that good year, I feel like taking the ball out of Ben's hands a little more at this point in his career is definitely the smart move. I mean, for me, I still would have went offensive line, but I get what the Steelers are trying to do. I mean, that's why I gave them their entire draft a good B, mainly because I understand their philosophy behind what they're trying to do. It's mainly the Najee Harris pick for me, and they did go on to pick a center later in the draft, so we'll see if they go forward with developing that kid and seeing what he can do. But Pittsburgh, not too bad. Give him a B. Who's your loser in the draft?
My loser has to be the New Orleans Saints. I think they did so bad, by far worse than the league, I think.
Up there with Green Bay.
Yeah, definitely. First round with Peyton Turner. Yeah, it should not have been a day one pick, in my opinion. Second round, Pete Warner. I didn't think that guy was even a day two pick. Day three, or third round, they went corner Paulson Adebo. That wasn't the worst pick in the world. And then fourth round, they went Ian Book, who I thought was going to be like a fifth or sixth round pick. They kind of reached on him, in my opinion.
I like his upside, but them Notre Dame quarterbacks anymore, man, they're just not what they used to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I was watching the end of the first round. I was watching Bleacher Report's Gridiron live draft show, and they had Cameron Jordan come on for every pass rusher pick. And when they selected Peyton Turner, they went to him, and he tried to be excited, but it was pretty much impossible for him to hide that he even hated the pick of Peyton Turner. I think he thought it was an awful pick. He kind of came back afterwards and was like, no, don't get me wrong, I love the pick. But you could tell with his initial reaction that he wasn't even a fan of it.
Yeah, this was a big time miss for New Orleans. I mean, you just lost your Hall of Fame quarterback, for goodness sakes. I mean, you had to hit on this draft. I know they weren't targeting a quarterback. They're going Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. But, I mean, they're not going to win you the games that Drew Brees could. Drew Brees, if you needed that touchdown, you could tell him to go give you that touchdown. Jameis Winston is still the guy that threw 30 interceptions in one freaking season. So, I mean, like, when you go out and draft a Peyton Turner, I mean, like, he could be a good D end. I mean, his tape shows a lot of good stuff. But, I mean, when you're looking at an offense that just lost a Hall of Famer and you go D end that a lot of people had like a late second round, early third round grade on, like, you got to go with who you like. I get that. But, I mean, it didn't make sense to me when you have that glaring hole at quarterback now. And with this bad draft, I could easily see the Saints going like a 6-11. Keep in mind, we're in a 17-game season now, so that's why that sounds weird. But I mean, I could see them at like a 6-11 now because I mean, they didn't do enough in this draft. They failed in year one of no Drew Brees. They failed big time.
Yep. Peyton Turner, that's a developmental pick. Pete Warner, he's not today's linebacker. I don't think he's getting enough in coverage that some of today's linebackers need to be. And if they're not that great in coverage, then they need to have a good pass rush ability. I don't really see that with him either. As for like watching a couple of his highlights and stuff, it's the way he moved around on the field. I'm not saying he's going to be that bad, but he kind of reminds me of Nate Gary a little bit.
Oh and God, what a bad comparison.
If he's anything like
poor
Nate
kid
Gary for the Saints, it's going to be worse than 6-11 for them this year.
The worst thing you could have told that kid is comparing him to Nate Gary, dude. I can't get the image out of my head last year of him defending a pass against Joe Burrow, and Burrow sees the back of Gary's jersey while he still has the ball in his hand. Like, yeah. I know that kid's probably not watching, but like, if he was, you just heard him. You heard him big time.
Yeah.
But man, one team's draft. It's my favorite draft of the whole event. It was definitely the Carolina Panthers. They stole our draft of what we thought the Eagles were gonna do. They went J.C. Horn at 8, and then in the second round they went Terrace Marshall. I mean, Marshall fell. I was surprised he fell that far.
I'm surprised too.
I mean, J.C. Horn in the top 10, like maybe a little bit of a reach, but if you're Carolina, you're looking at the teams that are looking to trade up. There was no guarantee that he was going to be there by the time you're picking again. So just take your corner and address your other needs later. But I mean, you just got Sam Darnold, and I mean, you just improved the defense right there with J.C. Horn and Terrace Marshall, and you went O-line like right after that, and then went running back to back up Christian McCaffrey. I mean, like, I'd be flirting with like about an A+ for Carolina in this draft. I feel like this draft can totally propel Carolina into playoff positioning if Sam Darnold has a good year. I mean, he's set up for success now, dude. I mean, Sam Darnold, he's jumping up and down. He just got traded away from the Jets, and his new team, Carolina, nails the draft. I mean, his life couldn't be freaking better right now. And he's still in his prime. He still hasn't hit his best years.
Yeah, honestly. Even not just the draft for Carolina. I think they've been killing this whole offseason because they got Darnold, who at minimum I think is going to be an upgrade over Bridgewater.
Yeah.
And for fairly cheap, you're getting McCaffrey back. I know they signed what's that linebacker out of Temple? I'm forgetting. Hassan Reddick. They signed Hassan Reddick. And I think they signed AJ Boye from the Broncos too to help out their secondary.
Yeah.
So like even some of the free agent signings and trades and stuff that they've been pulling off, that like I know they were one of the teams that was trying to get Deshaun Watson, and I still kind of feel like that was maybe their plan A, but their plan B worked out pretty damn good for them, I think.
Oh yeah, their plan B became an A for me.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they're easily having, I think, the best offseason of anyone right there. Definitely the best offseason in their division by far. I mean, I hate to use the word favorites in a division like the NFC South, because I mean, that division, much like the NFC East, is extremely competitive. I mean, you still have to deal with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. But I mean, Carolina, watch out. If Sam Darnold proves to everyone that it was the Jets all along that were holding them back, you could easily see Carolina with 10, 11 wins on the year and being in the wild card. Easy.
Yeah,
and
they could definitely be a sleeper team.
with Tampa.
Yep, you have Saints, who I think are going to make a big step back in that division. I think Atlanta's still going to have a rough year. Love the Kyle Pitts pick for them, but I don't think they went enough defense to really be able to do much next year.
Yeah, they're still developing the C.J. Hendersons of the world, or not C.J. Henderson, the
AJ
cornerback
Terrell.
out of Clemson last year. Yeah, A.J. Terrell. They're still developing him. I mean, their defense is far from finished, which is what's been holding Atlanta back since literally. It's what held them back in 2016. and they blew 28-3 because of it. I mean, sorry, Atlanta fans, but that's just the way it is. Your defense has sucked for a long time and has never improved. So,
And they had a defensive minded head coach, and now it's going offensive minded. So
yeah,
it's going to be now maybe it won't be a problem for them if Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Kyle Pitts can, put up 35 points a game. But
yeah, they're trying to go with Dallas's philosophy last year, is just hope that they can outscore everyone. I mean, that's what Dallas tried to do last year, and it still didn't work. Granted, they lost Dak Prescott for the year, but even before Prescott went down, it still wasn't working. They were 1-2 when Dak Prescott got hurt. So I mean, it's not a good philosophy. I mean, I hate to use the cliche defense wins championships, but it's true. Atlanta would be sitting on a Super Bowl trophy right now if they had a defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Even Tampa Bay last year, if they're, I know there's a lot of Kansas City's offensive line, but if Tampa didn't have that insane amount of pressure on Mahomes every play, who knows if Tampa would have won it last year.
Yeah, if Tampa didn't have a good defense, we're looking at another air show with Kansas City with Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce lighting up the world. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I know it's a cliche to say defense wins championships, but it seems like anymore in the NFL when offenses continue to get better, you need to stock up on defense. You can't let your defense become the second thing on your list.
Yep.
But I mean, one draft dude that I can't get out of my head that I hate the most. Oh my God, Green Bay. What a disaster. Aaron Rodgers tells you right on freaking draft day that he wants out. He's gone. He doesn't want to be a Packer. I mean, man's on Jeopardy, living his best life right now, making all that money, and he finally had enough. He's done with Green Bay. He says, take Jordan Love, make him your guy. I'm done.
Yeah, it's a dumpster fire.
And instead of doing something about it, they go and take a freaking corner in round one. They don't go O-line. They don't go receiver. They don't go like a Pat Freiermuth or something like that. No, they go They go corner. Like
who they reached on too.
Yeah, Eric Stokes. I liked him, but another second round guy. Why? Your quarterback, your Hall of Fame quarterback. You literally went Hall of Fame quarterback to Hall of Fame quarterback when you went Favre to Rodgers, and you pissed both of them off over the years, and you still did nothing about it. You pissed off Brett Favre so much that he left in retirement and then came back twice, and went to your division rival. Aaron Rodgers is getting ready to do the same thing.
If Aaron Rodgers is unhappy and wants more weapons, I don't care if corner is the absolute number one need for Green Bay. You take a wide receiver in the first round, you make sure Aaron Rodgers is happy.
Justin Douglas, my former pastor, if you're watching this, Justin, shout out to you. He's been a Green Bay Packers fan all his life, and I can't forget how angry the Jordan Love pick made him last year. I mean, goodness sake, you picked a developmental quarterback last year in the first round instead of your Hall of Fame quarterback getting him a weapon. My God. Aaron Rodgers is 10 times better than Brett Favre ever was. I know that's a hot take and everything, but to me, it's true. I mean, Brett Favre never flirted with being the greatest to play the game. I mean, unless you talk to a Green Bay Packer fan, I don't think anyone's really going to say Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback of all time. But I mean, Aaron Rodgers is definitely top 3, top 5 of all time. And when he says he wants weapons and you did nothing about it, you deserve to lose him if you're the organization.
Yep. And I don't think they have any leverage in this situation either, because I think Aaron Rodgers, the type of guy he is, I watched him on his Pat McAfee, his Tuesdays on there, and his personality and everything. I think he could walk away and just retire and be perfectly content with it. Probably.
Oh, yeah. He can retire and go on Jeopardy and make bank and call it a day.
Yep, if Green Bay doesn't do what he wants, I could 100% see him retiring and being the next host of Jeopardy.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers holds all the cards. Like you said, you hit the nail on the head. This is in Aaron Rodgers' hands right now. Aaron Rodgers, you either trade him or he's going to retire. He's going to quit. because Aaron Rodgers, he can make plenty of money anywhere else if that's the issue.
Yeah. So I think Green Bay has to trade him because why
Yeah, because
let him
you look at
retire
a
if
team
he would
like
get
Denver. Yeah, you look at a
they're-
team like Denver at 9. I think Denver is the best suit for him, and that's why they didn't take a quarterback anywhere in the draft. I think Denver's all in for Aaron Rodgers. I think they're gonna really play their hand and try to like offer up an insane package. Like I know like a crazy package isn't the most ideal thing for Aaron Rodgers at his age and everything. But I mean, Aaron Rodgers, much like Tom Brady, is just going to make your entire team better upon arrival and put your team in
absolutely.
immediate connection
Yeah.
or
And I
contention.
heard a lot of people say, I won't give up too much for Aaron Rodgers. He's 36, I think 36.
Yeah.
Well, we look at quarterbacks these days. Tom Brady is 42 and still playing and
42 and just won a freaking Super Bowl.
since won a
Yeah.
Super Bowl. So if Aaron Rodgers can play for another 5-6 years, plus Aaron Rodgers sat behind Favre for a couple years,
Yeah.
so he doesn't have as much wear and tear. But if Aaron Rodgers, you trade for him, and for the next 5, 6, maybe even 7 years, he has you in Super Bowl contention. Who cares how much you gave up for him? I would
Right,
give
'cause
up a
if
shit ton for 5, 6, 7 years of Super Bowl contention.
Yeah, like give up like 3 first-round picks and a second at a player. Like that's probably what it would take to get him away from Green Bay if they even listen, if they even pick up the phone. I mean, like we'll see what happens with that. Because I mean, like because for Green Bay, I think Green Bay's hanging up the phone right now. They're not listening to anyone because they want to try to get it fixed. But I mean, if this goes into like August and like nothing's resolved and Aaron Rodgers is literally saying like trade me or I walk, it's gonna look like that. It's gonna be like Green Bay sets the tone. They're like, this is what we want, and someone's gonna budge because, like you said, it's the Tom Brady effect. That quarterback hits your city, you're in contention for the next 5, 6, 7 years.
Yep, it happened with Brady. It happened to Peyton Manning to the same team, the Broncos. And I could 100% see Aaron Rodgers could even go to the Broncos. And I think if he went to the Broncos, there's a very good chance. Probably not this year. I doubt it even happens this year, but I could see them winning a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers for
Easily.
sure.
Because I mean, Denver already has played that hand before in Peyton Manning.
Yep.
Like, granted, they didn't trade for him; they signed him in free agency when he walked from the Colts. But I mean, like John Elway has had his hand in that pot before, with bringing in that age quarterback and telling them, "Hey, like we brought you here, we won a championship, so like bring it to us. Here's your new contract. Do your thing, and let me just sit back and watch. Whatever you need, I got you."
Absolutely. Or Brady too. And hey, Aaron, you want, obviously it won't be the same players, but hey, you want Gronk? You want Antonio Brown? All right, we'll go get him for you. I do
Yeah.
the same thing Tampa's doing with Brady. And I think Green Bay is especially screwed if they lose Aaron Rodgers. Nonetheless, just the fact of losing Aaron Rodgers, but Devontae Adams is going to be a free agent, I believe, this offseason. Maybe it's a year from now. I'll have to check. But
Yeah.
Devontae Adams is going to walk if Rodgers goes. Jair Alexander, their star corner, I believe he's a free agent the same year as Devontae Adams is. He's going to walk. So all your studs that you have there, they're not going to stay without Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Because they know it'll be dark times without him, especially if Jordan Love doesn't pan out. If Jordan Love doesn't pan out, because I mean, like, let's face it, Aaron Rodgers didn't freaking give anyone any favors to the backup quarterback, as you'd expect. I mean, like, who wouldn't be ticked off at that? Like, he was pleading for O-line or wide receiver that year, and nope, here's a quarterback. Can you train him for us? No, I'm not gonna train your little backup quarterback. No, I'm gonna do my thing with whatever you gave me again and carry you on my back for the freaking ride and see where this goes.
And go win an MVP.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of the frustration lies, is that it's a lot of empty promises in Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and I saw a thing the last 10 years, all of their first round picks have been defense, except for one, and that was a backup quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, goodness sake, dude. Figure it out. I mean, But another team's draft that I really liked was Minnesota. I think Minnesota really had a strong draft. We had the Christian Darrisaw pick, right? It just wasn't in the right spot. It was maybe 5 or 6 picks later because they traded back.
Yep.
Yeah.
10 spots, I think, actually, but yeah.
Yeah. They got a quarterback in Kellen Mond. I think he has a lot of high upside. He doesn't have to be perfect right away because Kirk Cousins is still under contract. But I mean, overall, I thought they had a really strong draft. Minnesota, they're kind of in a tricky spot. Like, I don't think they're in contention, but I don't think they're bottom feeders either. I feel like this draft really kind of solidified with they're trying to build for the future, but also trying to contend at the same time, which is why they drafted a Kellen Mond with one of their picks, but also why they went offensive tackle in the first round. Because, I mean, Kirk Cousins is another one of those quarterbacks that ended up on his back like 24/7 last year. Like, it's just Kirk is lucky that he's so thick boned that they didn't break anything last year with that O-line. It was ridiculous how much he was getting leveled. I mean, they're lucky enough to have a Justin Jefferson, true wide receiver 1. I mean, I would call him their number 1 receiver, and Adam Thielen their number 2. I mean, they got a hell of a replacement after they traded Stephon Diggs. I mean, if Jefferson proves that he's still that guy and that he just wasn't a rookie wonder, Minnesota's in a good spot.
They are, because they got, like you said, they got Darrisaw that's going to help out their offensive line out a lot. Having the weapons of Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and still having Dalvin Cook at running back, the weapons are definitely there. So I feel like they're going to say, Kirk Cousins, we helped out the O-line, you got your weapons, go out and ball for us. And guess what? If you don't, we got Kellen Mond behind you. Probably not going to take his job this year. Like Kirk Cousins had a pretty good year last year, I think.
Yeah, he hasn't been bad in his contract, but I mean, it warranted taking a quarterback in the draft and letting him train behind Cousins for a year or 2.
Yeah, so I think this year it's still pretty much Cousins' job, but I think next year, especially with now age coming into effect with Kirk, I think next year, if Kirk's, I think if they have a rough start to the season and you see them go, like 1-2, 1-3, I could see them putting Mond in and
pulling the trigger and putting in Mond. But I feel like if they do end up making the postseason this year, because I mean that's another division that's kind of tricky right now. Like, time will tell in the Aaron Rodgers situation. But I mean, if Aaron Rodgers leaves that division's wide open. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity there because there's a lot of change in that division already. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers leaves, like, think about it. These are the quarterbacks that are in the division. If Aaron Rodgers leaves, is Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Kellen Mond, and Justin Fields and Andy Dalton. I mean, that's a wide open division if Aaron Rodgers leaves.
Absolutely,
so I mean, if Minnesota ends up taking in the opportunity, if Aaron Rodgers leaves town and Kirk Cousins gets him to the playoffs, I do think it warrants maybe a little 2-year deal and let Mond sit for another year and kind of go with that. I don't know. Could be wrong. Maybe they pull the trigger with Mond if they struggle. But I could see Cousins getting another little short-term deal. Because, I mean, Mond, while good, he's a project. Like, he's got a really strong arm. He's a great athlete. Mississippi State produced Dak Prescott. And Kellen Mond draws a lot of comparison to Dak. But, I mean, Dak was incredible his rookie year, as we all know. I mean, Dak was a total flash in the pan of a success. I mean, he still is a success. I just mean, with Mississippi State producing quarterbacks now, I think you really got to see what you got first before you pull the trigger.
Right. I agree. And I think you're right with Kirk Cousins potentially getting them into the playoffs because Green Bay is a mess. And if Aaron Rodgers sits out, I don't see them making the playoffs with Jordan Love. I think Detroit, they're, in rebuild mode. I think they're building the right way.
We'll see what happens with Goff, but
I love what they did in the draft, by the way, too, with getting, I said in our mock draft, I could see them going Micah Parsons because he's, that tough, gritty guy. It makes perfect sense that they went Penei Sewell, who constantly in college was putting people to the ground, and then go, they drafted a lot of linemen which makes a lot
Yeah,
of
because
sense for
that
them.
was a big problem in LA too. While Goff was in town, there is that again the O line wasn't good. I mean, that's why they lost that Super Bowl. Is Goff had pressure in his face all the time, and they never improved that. So I mean, Goff gets to town, and they luck out with getting Panay Sewell, and he's going to be there for a long time. And they already had a half decent O line in Detroit. So I mean, Detroit could easily be in contention for that division if Aaron Rodgers leaves.
Yeah, absolutely. With Goff and I know they have DeAndre Swift at running back and TJ Hawkinson at tight end. Those are pretty good weapons. I know they don't have much at receiver, but they might have a couple young guys who could step up, and you never know. Crazier stuff has happened, but I don't like what Chicago did in the draft either. I know a lot of people were high on Justin Fields. I just didn't see it because kind of the same thought process with Fields as Mac Jones for me a bit. Like he constantly had wide open people and stuff. And the couple games that I watched from him last year, was again like Northwestern, and when he had to go up against a real good defense, it didn't look like he knew what to really do with the ball. So I could be wrong, but I don't see Fields doing much in Chicago.
Yeah. Another team that I thought had a really interesting draft, and Charles Mercer, a returning listener, this is for you, your team, Washington. I feel like they had a pretty decent draft. I was surprised they didn't go quarterback at all. What did you think of them?
I think they did pretty good. I was not a big fan of their first round pick though, Jamin Davis.
Yeah.
Their front seven was not a need at all in my opinion. Like I think even like if you wanted to stay defense, I think secondary would have been a better pick for them.
Yeah.
But mainly, I think they should have gone offensive line or maybe even another receiver. So, I mean, if Jamin Davis comes out and, I'm sure he's going to do pretty good playing behind that defensive line. I think he's going to have plenty of opportunities to have a good career. But I
See,
think
I
they
feel
have
like that
bigger
move
needs.
was made was because of Ryan Kerrigan getting up there in age now, because Kerrigan's kind of that like inside on the D line and half linebacker, half DN. And that's kind of what Jamin Davis represents as well. Like, he's kind of that like freak athlete for the front seven. He can do it all. So I feel like that's kind of a good opportunity to train. And they've kind of failed at linebackers over the past few years. So they tried to go with one this year. Go with Jamin Davis. I would have preferred JOK if I was them. I mean, report did come out that JOK has a heart condition, and that's why he fell as far as he did. And Cleveland lucked out because I mean, if that heart is okay, Cleveland had a phenomenal draft with Greg Newsome and JOK in back-to-back rounds.
Yeah, they're a big winner out of this draft too. I wanted JOK so bad with their second round pick. I wanted him so bad.
Yeah, he was there at 37, but I like the Landon Dickerson pick for the Birds because it gives an opportunity to learn behind Kelsey. And if those injuries stay away, then the comparisons for him are a Travis Frederick, and we know how much of a beast he was. And if we have a Travis Frederick comparison behind Jason Kelsey, who's getting ready to retire, that's a big win. That's a big hit if that works out.
See, I like the Dickerson pick if he stays healthy, and that's such a big if.
That's the if, but if it works out, then it's a big hit. Yeah.
And one thing I don't fully understand, which I know how he has his ways and stuff, but if they had JOK highly rated on their board and decided not to draft him because of the injury history or the heart concern, and then drafted an offensive lineman with that kind of injury history, find that to be a little hypocritical because, you got a guy with a bunch of season-ending injuries. You'll take a flyer on him, but not. But I mean, if Dickerson stays healthy, I think he's going to be a really good pick.
To be fair, what member of our O line stays healthy all the time anyway? So
exactly, yeah.
Besides Jason Kelsey, he's just a man among boys out there. He's just a freak of nature.
Right. And there's no doubt with Dickerson that there's a lack of talent. I've heard, could have been a top 20 pick if he wasn't hurt, and by far best interior O lineman in the class. So
Yeah, I agree. There was one point in the draft where I feel like they could have gone corner as well, but didn't go. I mean, I like the Zach McPherson pick, but he's a developmental guy. I feel like not in a position to try to take a project at corner with what we got, but we'll see what goes on with that. Are there any other draft teams that you wanted to hit on? I know that you have an opinion on the Jaguars.
yeah, the Jaguars. I mean, it's hard to fail a draft whenever you got Trevor Lawrence, who's one of the best prospects to come out in a long time at the most important position in football.
Yeah.
But and I hope I don't sound hypocritical here because I loved the Steelers getting a running back in round one. But I think drafting Travis Etienne, I like some of their other late round picks too, but drafting Travis Etienne in that spot, I understand why they did it because I think he will be explosive for them. And
They did
giving
it for the
Trevor
Clemson
Lawrence,
connection.
yeah, and
Let's not
giving
kid
Trevor,
ourselves.
yeah, giving Trevor Lawrence that familiarity and everything will help. But they had such bigger needs there. And then with their second round pick, Tyson Campbell, I was a big fan of Tyson Campbell too. That's another player that I was pretty mad when I heard the Jaguars selected him because I kind of wanted the Eagles to take him at 37.
Yeah.
But with having CJ Henderson last year and giving a lot of money to Griffin, and I know Jones did pretty good in the slot for them last year. Corner wasn't really the number one need for them either. Like they could have taken Trevon Moehrig there. Safety was a bigger need for them.
Yeah.
Pass rush was a lot bigger of a need for them.
I feel like
And
they could have gone
offensive
O-line
line
as well. Yeah.
Yep. Like there's a lot of offensive lineman prospects there. Even tight end that Pat Fryermuth would have been a great pick. So like I love Lawrence. I like them taking Cisco later in the draft too. But it's just that Etienne and Campbell, not a big fan of either of those picks for them.
Yeah, I like ETN because of what he brings to that offense. I mean, they're trying to because Urban Meyer, the college coach, he's going to try to bring some college stuff, like not as extreme as like what a Chip Kelly tried to do. But I mean, when you're used to the college game and you're used to seeing college players, and Urban Meyer did go up against Trevor Lawrence one of those years that the college football playoff has been in play. So I mean, he knows what Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne can do, and I feel like that's what Urban Meyer's trying to focus on. Travis Etienne screams Urban Meyer all over it. I think because of the college connection, because of what they did at Clemson together. I mean, for goodness sakes, the first time that Trevor Lawrence loses the regular season game in the NFL, it'll be his first regular season loss since he was in Pee Wee. So I mean,
Yeah.
Urban Meyer's trying to keep that streak alive, and he's trying to just give his new quarterback as much familiarity and being comfortable as he can. Because I mean, if Trevor Lawrence goes in there totally uncomfortable and not knowing what to expect, it's going to result in a lot of losses. So I mean, drafting ETN, I get it because they're trying to play to Lawrence's strengths, and a part of that had to do with having a running back that he could trust at Clemson the entire time he was there. So they're trying to do that in Jacksonville. So I mean, I get it. And Tyson Campbell, they're kind of trying to right the wrongs that they couldn't get done with Jalen Ramsey. I mean, they got good compensation for Ramsey in the end, but it was just a mistake in the long run to piss off Jalen Ramsey, who's a top 5 corner, maybe even top 3, depending on who you talk to. And Tyson Campbell, great prospect. We'll see what goes on with that. It'll take some time to figure out who he is because Tyson Campbell is very raw. He gets very handsy at the line, which can result in a lot of like illegal touching. He was kind of in the bottom half of the SEC corners in terms of penalty yards. So, I mean, if he can improve on that, he'll be a great corner because he's very physical. He goes up against the ball. But, I mean, overall, Jacksonville, I think they should be satisfied is probably the right word rather than excited with their draft. Because, I mean, for needing a new identity, they certainly did that. It's what we talked about in the mock draft is that they needed a new identity. They definitely accomplished that. So I think they should be satisfied, but not excited because it's still a long ongoing project with a college coach and fresh new college players coming in. So we'll see what goes on with that. They should respect him. It's Urban Meyer. So, I mean, we'll see what goes on with them. I mean, they're in a division with the Colts and the Titans. So that division could be open too. Cause I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the Colts draft either.
Yeah, I thought they had a terrible draft.
Yeah. Kwity Paye, great edge rusher. But I mean, like Carson Wentz, you trade for a new quarterback and you didn't do anything for him besides like really anything at all. All you did was probably make him mad again because he went and took a quarterback in the draft. We all know Carson Wentz doesn't like competition of other quarterbacks in the room. Sam Ehlinger.
Yeah, especially other quarterbacks in the room from Westlake High School in Texas. Other quarterback out of there was Nick Foles, and everybody knows what happened there.
Yeah. Yeah, Carson Wentz is already talking to the organization like, why'd you do that? Like, I don't like them Texas quarterbacks. You got to be drafting guys from the Midwest.
Yeah.
No. But no, I feel like they should have went O-line in the first round. There was plenty of talent there. I mean, we had them taking an edge rusher. We had them taking Ojulari out of Georgia in the first round. But I mean, to go through the first 3 rounds and not taking an offensive lineman for your new quarterback. I know that they have a great offensive line either way, but they had a hole at left tackle. I mean, your quarterback's blindside who has a back injury history. I mean, it's a bad mistake for me personally.
Yeah, they definitely should have gone left tackle there. And I know they're considering moving Quentin Nelson out to left tackle, so I think would be a big mistake because where he is, he's one of the top in the league. So it's
one of the top. I would say he's the best guard in the league.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, yeah. So it's to risk moving him out to left tackle and not having him be one of the best in the league. I think you have to keep him at guard. Now, if they were to go out and sign like Mitchell Schwartz, who's still available to be that left tackle or whatever, then I think their draft would be a little bit better, but I still don't like their second round pick either. Their pass rusher out of Vanderbilt. I think that was kind of a reach, and coming off of an injury, not a huge. But I understand why they did go back to the back edge rushers because I know they lost Danico Autry to the tight ends, and I think they're doubting that they're going to get a deal done with Justin Houston. So.
Yeah. But yeah, to those listening, over the next couple of weeks here, we're trying to get some guest speakers on. One of them is actually an Eagles undrafted free agent, Trayvon Grimes, wide receiver out of Florida. I DM'd him on Twitter. He said he's available to talk. Whether or not he gets back to us in time to record on a Wednesday night. Obviously, with current players, it's tough because they all got to train. They all got to get ready for the next season, especially a guy like him who's trying to make a team. But Thomas, you actually have an agreement for who to come on?
Former Eagles offensive lineman, which I say we'll keep as a surprise and make them have to, tune in the next couple of weeks and see who it's going to be. But we'll tell them that he used to play in Philadelphia and was one of our interior offensive linemen.
Yes, former 5th round pick in 2011 out of the University of Iowa. Just a couple of hints there.
Yep.
But yeah, we're trying to get some guest speakers on. If any of you want to come on as a special guest, you're more than welcome. We're always up for new people joining the show to have a third party in here with us to talk about sports, to talk about your favorite teams. Anything is off limits.
Yep, I was also talking to the guy at with the channel The West Out Nest the other day. There might be a potential collab going with that. We'll see how that goes. And what was I going to say? And we are also working on some type of giveaway for our listeners too. We haven't
Yes.
figured out the details for that yet, but we are working on a giveaway, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that.
But yes, you can follow us on Twitter. What's the Twitter handle, Thomas?
At TK Sports Talk 21. You can find me at TJ Cole. And they can find you at
Kevin Trump on Facebook and Kevin P. Trump on Twitter. We will have many giveaways over time. Just have to figure out the final details. It can be t-shirts, it can be draft hats, it can be anything that we can get our hands on. We will be doing giveaways over time. So stay tuned for that. We will keep everyone posted as we release new episodes and sponsoring giveaways. And Thomas, do you have any closing remarks as we wrap up for the night?
I don't think so, other than as always, go Birds.
Go Birds. We are T&K Sports Talk, and good night.